This is called core activation. And we're just going to start out real quick talking about a little bit of the anatomy. And if you remember with the abdominals, we've got the six pack, so that's that rectus abdominis. It does mostly flexion of the torso, or it does some anti-extension. Then we've got the external and internal obliques that work on rotation and anti-rotation. And then we have that deep layer, that transverse abdominis layer that engages with the breath and it helps support. So think about like a corset, if you know what a corset is. It wraps all the way around and it attaches to the deeper paraspinal muscles. So it attaches and so it allows some support when we contract the transverse abdominis. It also connects into the multifidi, and that creates some pelvic stability, but it creates some spinal stability as well. And then we could talk about the pelvic floor, and when we exhale, when we breathe in the engagement part of it, that pelvic floor is lifting and that is connecting from the bottom up. So we have the inhale that connects the diaphragm, that drops down, the pelvic floor lifts up, and then that corset, those obliques, kind of knit in the center and just create this three-dimensional support for the pelvis and the spine. So let's break it down a little bit. So if you lie on your back, and first thing, just kind of find what we'll call neutral. It's different for everybody, but if you rock the pelvis a little bit, we're not in full extension and we're not pressing the lower back against the mat. We're gonna find something between that where you feel grounded through your hips, a little bit of air underneath your lower back, and then grounded through your lower ribs, back, and head, okay? So from there, let's just take a deep breath, nice three-dimensional breath. We're breathing into lower back, belly, rib cage wide, upper back, and chest. You can review the three-dimensional breathing video if needed. Exhale, just exhaling that air out, okay? So now we're gonna do an activation. When we activate, we're gonna exhale, like we're exhaling through a small straw, and we're forcing that air out, okay? So it's inhale, nice three-dimensional breath, exhale, and naturally, I feel that pelvic floor lift. I feel this kind of tightening of the corset of that transverse abdominis. And I'm not really thinking about drawing my belly button in for this one, okay? So we were just trying to create this barrel of support. Big breath. You can kind of release all of that tension. Exhale. Feel that engagement. The pelvic floor again lifts. The diaphragm has dropped down and that corset has tightened. Now let's keep that. Take a deep breath, three-dimensional breath. Now you feel much more pressure. And that pressure, that intra-abdominal pressure, creates this support, okay? And then on the exhale, we're again feeling that support of the core again. So inhale, keep that engagement. Exhale, I'm continuing to feel that support from all the different angles, okay? Now, we're activating a ton for being on the floor. The general rule, not general rule, the rule is you match the tension with the tension, okay? So when I'm laying on the floor activating my core, I don't really need to be activating as much as I am, but we're bringing some awareness to it, okay? So, and I'll talk about that in a second. So let's do a couple more repetitions again. So let's inhale, nice three-dimensional breath, exhale. Let's engage, feel the support from the pelvic floor. That pelvic floor stays lifted, that corset stays tight. Inhale, creating that intra-abdominal pressure on the inhale, and then exhale, feeling that musculature supports our position. So if we do some simple things like knee folds, we might need a little bit of tone here. We might need a little bit of breath support. And then if we go into a double leg lower lift where we're lowering now, I need a little bit more, even more support in my core to support that movement. So that's the brief version of core activation, and then we apply it to all of the exercises we do, and there are some variations depending on, if you're doing a super heavy deadlift or if we're doing some sort of forward flexion in Pilates.